Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. This is very international, so folks are coming in from many different time zones. My name is Ben Nespajani. I am one of the editors here at Mercurius Magazine and now officially Mercurius Press. Thank you all so much for being here. To get us started, I have provided a little intro to ground us, or because we're talking surrealism, perhaps disorient us as to why we are all here. Surrealism. Is surrealism an ant made out of shoelaces, or is it a shoelace made of ants? Absurdism. Is absurdism a blackbird turning into an earthworm, or an eel learning to tango with a grenade? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, when do its leaves begin to speak? When does the moss start to cough? And the sky, why is it sprouting limbs? These questions and more remain completely unanswered in the Surreal-Absurd, a truly mammoth anthology where Mercurius Press compiled 80 contemporary poets across 370 pages, pulling from our online samplers over the last 4.5 years. Mercurius founder Thomas Helm started this all by providing this wonderful platform for strange, uncanny, experimental texts, with editor Marcus Silcock beginning to curate the Surreal-Absurd samplers in early 2021, editor Vik Shirley joining later that year, and myself hopping on about a year later in late 2022. A true labor of love, Thomas, Marcus, and Vik did the bulk of the work in assembling this anthology, with Thomas meticulously and tirelessly handling the introductory essay, the layout, converting all of the poems over to a PDF, and even working with his brother on illustrating the cover. After much blood, sweat, and tears, meaning witch's blood, dragon sweat, and beetle's tears, the book was finally released earlier this month, and we are so very thrilled today to be celebrating this launch with a virtual reading marathon. We have 18 surrealist writers, all of whom are part of this wonderful anthology, and they will be reading for us today. Everyone will read for about 3 to 5 minutes, either from the anthology or from outside work, totally up to them, hopefully keeping it on our theme of surrealism and absurdism. To keep things moving and to lean into the absurd, I will be providing erasure bios for all 18 of our readers, pulling from their bios at the back of this anthology to assemble new and strange tiny bios. All right, I guess we can get started. So kickstarting us off, we have Hugh Behm-Steinberg, and here is our erasure bio to kick things off. Hugh Behm-Steinberg is shy, swift fiction. His wig can be found in heavy animals. Take it away, Hugh.
Thank you so much for having me. Um, the pieces that I published in the anthology are from a project where I write about plans. So I'll read 4 of them. This one is called Pony. I plan to relax. I'll rent a Shetland pony. So bonny, so wee, and just lean into it. I'll tell the pony my worries in a soothing voice because I don't want to frighten it. I would fall apart if I couldn't get even a Shetland pony to like me. So we'll form an A-frame because the pony will lean back. The pony will have anxieties too. It will look at me, its eyes brimming with tears, frustrated I can't understand its dialect. I'll just say over and over it's going to be okay, even if it's not going to be okay. That soon enough I'll have to take the pony back to its life of birthday parties and small children who don't understand anything, yelling, "Pony!" when they see one, not knowing what that means. This one's called The Moon. I plan to stare at the moon. My neck won't get sore because I'll lie on my back with a comfortable pillow. My wife will join me on the roof. We'll cover ourselves in blankets and hold hands underneath. Cheek to cheek, we'll concentrate on the subtle effects of gravity upon our tiny bodies, the pale reflected sunlight. Do you feel that? My wife will ask. I think the moon likes us, I'll say. The plan will work because the more you look at the moon, the more beautiful the moon gets. The more you notice, the more you come to love what you see. The moon will stare back at us while all this is happening, and so the moon will get to know us very well. Are you ready? The moon will say. Are you really ready? Because I have so many plans. This one's called The Overwhelming Guilt. I plan to scratch all my itches, every single spot. The mosquito bite on my upper arm, the bump on my thigh, the rash that won't go away. I'll give in completely to the urge to rip my whole entire skin off in one piece and beat it on the side of the house like a goddamn rug, send all my tattoos and secret bugging devices flying. If it doesn't fit right when I put it back on, if I look like I'm a little bit more scraggly, I'll just claim I've been living in the desert for a longer time than most people, and therefore I'm a little wrinklier than I should be. Who the hell are you to say anything? I'll respond to all my interrogators because I see they've been scratching too. They haven't been in the desert for weeks. They look so smooth and toned and tight. Has it been worth it? This one's called Fire. I plan to put out fires. I'll keep a bunch of extinguishers handy at all times, and I'll walk around with vigilance and heavy blankets. To keep ahead of things, I'll jump on people and put them out. They'll have to thank me. I'll tell them that they might not have caught fire yet, but in these times of drought, everyone burns eventually. So I just save their lives. Be careful next time and knock it off with the incense and candles and cigarettes. When I actually do this, however, they just get angry. I know it's a dumb plan. Everything is always on fire. I am on fire. I ought to go yell at the ocean like everyone else. But each morning I wake up optimistic, like everyone else, shivering. I just want to get warm. You know what I mean. And this last one's called I Get Along Great with My Brother. I plan to get myself a new sister. It's been a while. We'll go to the family store in person because what sort of a person gets a brother or sister online? I'll ignore the discount cousins aisle, and while you finger through the sales racks of step parents, I'll be trying on sisters. I'll find one who's perfect and put her back because it would just be embarrassing. Even when I leave empty-handed, I will later get a call from my brother saying he's heard I was shopping for a new sibling and that I should work at being a better brother to the ones I already have. I will not snap at him because therapy works. And I know he's been stocking up. His basement is crammed full of siblings. I bet they judge him all the time, too. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Hugh. Such a great way to start us off. Yeah, a lot of love for the moon poem in the chat. And I love the pony piece as well. Yeah, thank you so much for kickstarting us and going first for this wonderful surreal marathon. Next up, we have Chrissy Williams, and here is our erasure bio for Chrissy. Chrissy Williams is a UK axe. She edits perverse poetry comics. Take it away, Chrissy.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be in this amazing anthology. I've been going through it. It's so good. I'm going to read a couple of the short pieces from the anthology, but first, a piece that was written at the same kind of time as those that I think also informs them. Joke. Woman in hospital bed and doctor operating ultrasound scanner. It's confirmed you're having a joke. I can't believe it. I enjoyed comedy for years, but I was so scared of having my own joke. It is rather astounding. Which sketch fathered it? I was in Edinburgh. I saw so many shows. My favourites were all by women, though. Appalling. You won't go far without a... Oh, hang on. Examines the monitor, scans her again. Ah, don't worry. The joke's on me. It's gone. What do you mean it's just gone? Here, I'll prove it. The doctor leans over to speak into the woman's stomach. Knock, knock. Long pause. See? Nothing. LA story. These ones were all written when I was in LA. LA story. A hot dog flies over the hills of Hollywood, an endless gesture, a tired clown. Let your mind go and your body will follow. Learn to laugh, learn to be happy, learn how to predict the weather. Magic Kingdom. The business of mice is serious. Not everyone wears pants. Barf up your pain, a pineapple. Wear the ears, laugh. Yellow reflection. Are we all small clowns at heart, out of costume, weeping banana peels? And the last one is called Sunset and La Brea. Driving on, Jerry told me the Chaplin studios of Sunset and La Brea were taken over by Henson, who superimposed a Kermit the Frog head where Charlie Chaplin's used to be, which I took to mean that everything is ephemeral, including our systems for attributing worth, meaning, and reputation. You know, LA was a desert once. The Grand Canyon wasn't always a canyon. And what happens when you turn the sprinklers off, turn the sprinklers on? And I watched that video about being turned into a tree after you die, no matter what happened in your personal life. Though they say cremation is more practical, but what is practical, really? And I wonder at what point in human history the dead started to outnumber the living pretty quickly, I guess, with survival of the fittest. Still, I like being alive in a time of Muppets as the world goes on changing. And who wouldn't want to fall in love with everything, to reach a hand out the window as it all breezes past? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chrissy. That was great. I think there should be more Muppet surrealism in the world, so I appreciate you reading that final piece. All right, keeping us going, we are 2 down. We have many more to go. Next up, we have Lesle Lewis, and here is our erasure bio. Lesle Lewis is the boat on the farm. Her table will survive. Take it away, Lesle. Oh, I think you're muted.
How about now?
There we go.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to read a couple from, first of all, the anthology is awesome. I'm really liking everything in it. So thank you, everybody who's in this book. I'm going to read a couple from the anthology and then a couple of short new ones. This one is Tedium. Every morning, a different arrangement of pillows and books, one face down over another. The sky and ground and me all white. The deepest place is not all good. The outer world, the same. No comfort either. So what time is your surgery? Why not come home where you were loved to death? You don't answer, or your font is microscopic. How much sunshine do you have left? How much money? How much self? The house is one-sided and you're flat in it. And the mouth of your pillows are teeth. It looks like this. That it does. It is a pronoun. We live with it and nothing else. This one is Bodies Do What They Do. The story we tell becomes the truer one over time. The doors are open and the lights are on. The shades are drawn. We have blackish hearts. We have fake rocks. We have dread. The sky weeps. The children are amazed and say, this is amazing. Their parents are amazed and say, this is amazing. And I'm going to read 2 other poems that are not in the book. This one's called Projects. We can't fix all that we've ruined, so we back off now and let it resettle. No, I'm going to do that line again. Projects. We can't fix all that we've ruined, so can we back off now and let it resettle? It's easy to imagine so. I'm a wild boar and a coward. I clean up. I lose you. I keep losing and refinding my bag. I keep repacking it. I keep forgetting it. I carry it awkwardly. Yay for ongoing projects. And this last one is called Fix. Today is not a morning person, but it's a good day, says a friendly boy. Later, I get a sad text from you. Our differences, 2 triangles. I go for food and come back. I march into the building and inquire about employment. What you don't want mentioned, I don't mention. Well enough, we love it being meaningless. There really is a 0 between a positive 1 and a negative 1. The woman says my poem is stupid. Hard physical labor might fix it. Thanks.
Thank you, Leslie. That was great. I love hearing those prose poems out loud. And I like the new ones as well. All right, next up, we have Natalie Shaw, and here is our 4th erasure bio. Natalie Shaw is a fake martini broken by dirty sleep. Take it away, Natalie.
Thank you so much. I love these bios. They're amazing. I'm going to read 2 poems, not from the anthology, and then 2 that are from the anthology. This first one is called Treehouse. I asked the cat to leave me alone, but the cat did not leave me alone. It said it was following instructions. I was angry with the cat for following bad instructions. I despised the cat. In my head, I kicked the cat to the ground. I told the cat many times it had made a prison of my home. I asked the cat to stop. The cat wore its paper crown. It ignored me. To sort of add a moon poem into the mix, this is called Hofesh on the Moon. Hofesh is the name of a choreographer. Hofesh says, dance with us. We stand up. On the moon with Hofesh, our fingers are little butterflies. We float towards Hofesh. We dream of a second moon. Our fingers in the water, looped around the moon. We're over the moon with freedom. We're dancing. Hofesh gives us moons folded into party bags. And these 2 are from the anthology. This one is called Ice House Love. He rather liked the ice house. No, he was already a little in love with the ice house. No, even before they had been properly introduced. No, or even met. Ah, my frozen lake, all 300 tons. Ah, its stately melt. Ah, unlike that other ice, this ice is clean. 6 inches thick and remarkably clean, remarkably clean. Homegrown ice is not so clean. The icemen came, the old ice money. He was not concerned with that. The ice carts up and down the streets, remarkably clean. This last one is called Party Invitation with Knife. The invite read, things'd be better if you were dead. Disagree? Come to my knife fight. It'll be fun for me.
Thank you so much, Natalie. That was great. I'm seeing a theme of ongoing moon poems for today, which is great. All right, next up we have Tom Jenks, and here is our erasure bio for Tom. Tom Jenks is a chimney philosopher. He specializes in short objects. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben, for organising. Thank you to all the editors for putting this anthology together. Very happy to be in it. I'm going to finish with a piece from the anthology, but I'm going to start off with a couple of newer ones. There's no direct mention of the moon. I'm sorry about that, but there is a werewolf in one of them, so they are moon adjacent. The emperor grows weary. He sighs into his soup, can no longer tolerate the novels of his contemporaries, and has developed the hard, high stomach of a disappointed man. We walk the corridors in carpet slippers and whisper in alcoves where portraits hang in shadow. Soon we will ring the silver bell and set up tables under the tapestries. We will put out Weetabix for the werewolves and sausages for the visiting dignitaries coming over the marshes by mule, most likely. Our grandfather was a superstitious man and carried a wooden clothes peg which he touched whenever we passed the cemetery. Sometimes we take a different route, the gravel road through the Wildfowl Park, for instance, and spring the cemetery upon him, causing him to fumble hurriedly in his cardigan pocket, letting go of the seatbelt held across his stomach to give the appearance of being fastened. He was afraid of ghosts, of which there are still frequent reports. They say at low tide you can see an old sailor wandering the mussel beds. They say a grey lady haunts the crazy golf course and she can shrink you and trap you inside the miniature windmill. They say the marble angel comes to life if you walk around it 3 times at midnight and recite the Lord's Prayer backwards. It will tell you who you will marry, the exact minute of the end of the world, whether this year's celery crop will fail, and other bits of useful information. The hellhound wanders in from the marshes, the church bells ringing in warning. Past the railway halt and the badminton courts, past the boutique hotel and the site of the pillory, past the Founder's Stone and the organic greengrocer selling tiny apricots and fashionable purple carrots, stopping in the square to sleep in the sun. What does the hellhound dream of? A tethered goat, perhaps, or the old great house in its former fastness, dilapidated now, dense with mist and lilacs. They say back then the hellhound wasn't a hellhound. He would pad softly through the drawing room with its gold-framed paintings and delicate vases. He would stand on his hind legs when a lady entered. He would sit at the table and eat consommé royal, handling his spoon with surprising dexterity. And to finish, one from the anthology called Humboldt. The Humboldt squid lives predominantly upstairs, coming down for meals, parcel deliveries, or to demonstrate his particular skills. Look, says the Humboldt squid, I am cracking this troublesome coconut with my beak. Look, says the Humboldt squid, with this tentacle I am stirring porridge. With this tentacle I am poaching an egg using the whirlpool method. With this tentacle I am learning jiu-jitsu online. With this tentacle I am casting runes. With this tentacle I am writing a screenplay in which a large squid designed to live in the deep waters of the Humboldt Current, which flows northwest from Tierra del Fuego to the northern coast of Peru, is instead living in a 3-bedroom, suburban, semi-detached, which has a problem with fruit flies in summer and a Wi-Fi connection that is affected by the weather. We are all of us balanced on this seesaw, I say. We dip our hands into the jar, but the jar is made of opaque glass and there is no way to know exactly what is in the jar. I worry, says the Humboldt squid, that you will die and I won't feel anything, and how, in that eventuality, I will push down the plunger of the cafetiere without spilling coffee over the work surface. Meals are mainly prawns and spaghetti eaten with the lights off and the TV on. There is an ornate butter knife on the table between us, its handle encrusted with polished shells. One of us will reach for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That was great. Thank you for your moon-adjacent poem and for the first surrealist mentioning jujitsu today. All right, we have 5 readers down and a baker's dozen to go. And up next, we have Joyelle McSweeney. Here is our erasure bio for Joyelle. Joyelle McSweeney is the frightening night. Her translated boat was vital for America. Take it away, Joyelle.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me, and it's so strengthening to hear these poets and to see everyone's reactions as well. I think for me, surrealism right now is the convulsion between what's happening and the very dingy frameworks we've been given to think about it. And there's this like, propulsion going back and forth and these deranged shifts in tone of our cultural moment. And that's a sweet spot for these poems. So the first one is called Little House in the Seed Vault. And yes, you should imagine Little House on the Prairie overlaid over our current ecological omnicatastrophe. Little House in the Seed Vault. Our final star declined to live behind the plastic curtain, beneath the gaze of twin pediatric surgeons, one name for a ruined city and one a deathless teen. But we, it seems, survived our birth to watch the skies degrade above New Ganglion, passing for Minnesota through that burning lens. The dubious settlers crept like ants, plasmodia gathered in the sun name for an eye, so all that it looked upon could only live and yet decline. Fumes from their permanent waves cut thick crowns above the pews. Kerosene-packed butter churns chirped a Bible verse, prompting the mom to lop off her paw and the sister to go blind, as was foretold by the sick sun in the sky. So that we could believe then, as we believe now, that the pregnant pink dolphin, last of his kind, defies his radio collar to swim up the flooded channel and rock against the vault and beat his brains thereby and undo the locks with his brains and swing wide the gate and let the sea sluice in like a gown behind him to mate with the seeds in their beds. Here discreet froth of brain broth fogs the lens as it froths the lens of thought, and who knows what's growing there, the rotting seeds, the tangled hair, but we know what it's like to live behind the end, behind the end. This poem is called War Variations, Immemorial Day. Back in the dooryard, mooning with the lilacs. It's never moon here. Strike moon. Gathering munitions for our war on heaven, I begin to think it is the reverse of elegy and the reverse of alchemy. Some plasmodium, eating it down to sewage, selling it off for parts. Anger, lust, pride, avarice, anthracene, chrysene, pyrene, naphthalene, all collect above the burn pit at noon beside the crusher lot. Rain, light, and all the smashed chassis like hoplites lift their shields as if to fight off the sky. Insane and anyhow, sublime and anyhow, landlocked and idling at the light and laced into our cossets for the trip to no place worth going. God's reedy spite returns as law's big fist arrives like a teen first for nothing. Exhausts heaven, ladders up to storm the bower. Take it back while the lilacs last. They do not last. Strike lilacs. No, moon. No, you just okay chanteuse jacking out and hanging off the blue balconies. Your unholy hazy glaze shrouds an unimaginable Malibu trimmed in sfumato marabou as vanity trims the mirror. Nobody guide, nobody's pelt, improving the view. You stick your head through, you steady on the AC unit, climb out through the broken window to the roof while the AC makes the lowest sound known to English, the most bovine mew. Your brain stem at birth already answered cuckoo, and I hear the orcas at last overthrowing the ships, throwing out their own nets. A girl group you can join. Unionize or harmonize, falsetto or falsify. How you fled on the hard disc that bled, on the laser's coffers, spun out on the cops, a belt of ammunition thrown up into the sky. Carthaginize, Carthenogonic, margarine of Carthagene, cartridge on the magazine, scurfy marine surfeiting the stock and slide, peekaboo behind. The jury found in favor of beef. The jury found the lilacs wearing out their weather. Lilacs, wearing out their own wreaths on the wrestling mat, contracting impetigo and taking a pounding, purple and royal, a pound of lilac to grow a pound of meat. The PB in groin water could make you go blind. A pod of orcas goes round and ground and trains on meat for weeks. A reef of lilacs rocked up into the air. Its hide and hair lithe as an electrolyte in the brain of an annelay, tilts in the cave like a fuse, nervy to consummate and shortly to immolate, till a consolating tidelet of fat shall rise to lap the very step of your tomb. And the last poem I'm going to read is called Ganymede. You had a shoulder bone, you had a placket, you had a jacket that would not close, a door made of horn for the truth to walk in through on pin legs, and you had a squadron of mouths, you had a shoulder bone fitted with ivory, you had a shoulder miseaten by grief, by a mind-eaten goddess whom grief had made hungry, contradicting her brief, her own brief, don't eat, and you had a fall as of mouse for a handful of mouse bellies, like a handful of seeds tenderly curled on the bone of the street, blaspheme, euphemism, maladroit, benediction, You had it, you squalled from the holes. The case turned on nothing but air made more of the dog that lay where weeds rose. Canker that flared from the jaw of the rose. Keep it surreal, everybody.
That was awesome, Joyelle. Thank you so much. Might be the performance of the evening and with your surrealist background and tuning in from South Bend, Indiana, my hometown. So great to hear. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we have Simon Collings, and here is our seventh erasure bio for today. Simon Collings is an Oxford fortnight. His guts spring blue eyes. Take it away, Simon.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks to you and Tom and Thomas and Vik and Marcus for the fantastic work putting this anthology together. Very, very happy to be in this. I'm not going to try and compete with Joella's performance, but and I don't have a moon poem, but in this first one I'm going to read the light does start to fade towards the end of it. So for those of you who are into moons, please feel free to imagine a moon appearing at that point. So the first piece is a true story. This is in the anthology. During the shoot, Phil hit a mallard flying over the marshes at a height of about 15 feet. Instead of plummeting into the reeds from where the dogs would have retrieved it, it stopped in midair. As other members of the party began to notice it, the guns fell silent and the landowner came over to take a look. We'd better get someone to climb up. We'd better get something to climb on, he said. 2 of the beaters were sent off and returned with an extendable ladder. A group of them waded out into the marsh to set it up. While they held it in place, a young boy, the lightest person present, climbed up to the bird. It's got blood around its beak, he shouted down to the men, and on its breast. The boy took hold of the mallard by its wings, but it wouldn't budge. It seemed to be fixed in space. I can't shift it, he said. The landowner told the boy to come down and sent up one of the beaters, a brawny farm worker. After a lot of heaving and much swearing, the bird was still exactly where it had been when it died. By this time, the light was starting to fade. Hadn't we better hang a lamp on it, someone suggested, so people know it's there? The second piece is from the collection that A True Story was published in 2020, so it's the same sort of period. This one is called H. I hadn't seen H in a long time. She was little changed, and we soon re-established the easy intimacy we had once shared. We were standing in a meadow of tall grass, with no one else in sight. It was high summer, and the warmth of the late afternoon sun made us languorous. H was wearing a loose, sleeveless dress of pale cotton, which perfectly became her. She was aroused, and slid the dress slowly over her left shoulder, playfully revealing her naked breast. I began to caress her, but as I did so, the breast started to take on the shape and features of a child's head, then rapidly matured into those of a fully grown man. The face seemed vaguely familiar, though I couldn't quite place who it was. It was smaller than life-size and unmoving, like a waxwork. As I held her breast, the flesh turned to stone, and the head fell sideways into the grass, where it landed upright, a small plinth sprouting from the neck. H adjusted her dress to cover the place where her breast had been, and bent forward to examine the curious object. It seemed to be suffused by a warm pink glow, as from a hidden spotlight suspended above our heads. And then a third piece. This is more recent. This was published in Café Ariel earlier this year. This one's called Mausoleum. After Mum died, Dad bought us a sheep, which we called Mum in her memory. We had a sizable lawn, and Mum saved Dad from having to mow the grass. The sheep was supposed to comfort us, but it was Dad who spent hours talking to her. She was 3 years old when we got her. Now she's 8, nearly 9, which is old for a sheep. She's become vicious with age, and you have to watch out for headbutts. Sheep only live 10 to 12 years, so she's not likely to be around for much longer. We're worried about how Dad's going to cope. He says when she dies, we'll bury her in the garden. He wants to build a mausoleum, nothing like the simple gravestone we put up after we laid our mother's ashes to rest. He's made several sketches, a fleece cascading down the front and a pair of horns at the base. He plans to put it on the other side of the pond where we'll be able to see it from the house. Maybe we could move Mum's ashes here once it's built, suggests my sister. Dad's out on the lawn now, showing the sheep the style of lettering he's chosen for her epitaph. Thanks.
Thank you, Simon. That was great. Appreciate that. And yeah, I think the sun adjacent can be moon adjacent as well. So we got suns and moons kind of interweaving today, which I think is perfect. All right, next up we have Luke Palmer, and here is our erasure bio for Luke. Luke Palmer is an explosive prize. His woven poems have won him fatherhood. Take it away, Luke.
Thank you, Ben. These first two poems are to build off the bio, maybe, recasting my parenting anxiety dreams using film heroes from my childhood. This is Hogan River. Paul Hogan tracks water underground, loves nothing more than its tongue's slip through rock. He seeks the ultimate passage, buys a 100-yard stretch in the Pyrenees, a well-targeted ad campaign. Patrons pay handsomely to throw themselves down the swallow hole where the liquid dark chatters. They're born through limestone, cold under their palms. Stuck in the throat, the slick press of water builds. When the surge is released, depending on the size of the rider, they're launched up to 40 feet in the air, birthed into sunlight. Hogan hoards the cash, enough to buy a prefab house of Scandinavian design, plants it on the watershed and stands at the windows in the off-season, watches the rain fall, his great plethora of birds coming home to roost. This is Goldblum Lumberjack. Jeff Goldblum is a bad lumberjack. The shirt fits fine, but his rope work's wanting. I've witnessed his slack blocks, his pulleys idle, and the trunks come down in shavings mostly. He sweats at the sight of the chipper, is dwarfed by the really big saw. I get nervous just watching. He steps into his harness, strains the shoddy bowline, hands down another wood skin sliver. I pray the knots will hold. He yawned this morning. The stretch almost cracked his shoulder, had him retching at the porcelain a full 5 minutes before the dizzy spell passed. How can he manage all that tension? He can't always wait for the gale to ease, day in, day out. The body will yank itself apart if you let it. And this is my pitch for a children's TV series. This is called Season 1. Series features 5 characters: sea lettuce, old straw, blobfish, pink thing, and plankton stop. Pilot takes place in an underwater volcano, palette mostly purples and greys due to mineral deposits and lack of light at this depth. Stop. Episode. Stop. Little dialogue, just plankton's mimes. Stop. Other creatures approach and retreat from each other with the swell and wash of the current. Stop. A drawn-out and occasionally graceful dance. Stop. Episode. Stop. Old straw dreams of being a cyclist. Stop. Quite fancies the hill stages, but the peloton is a terrifying prospect. Stop. Books trip to Italian village, alpine air, change of scenery. Stop. Takes blobfish. Stop. It doesn't go well. Stop. Episode. Stop. Old straw leaves blobfish's wasted body in a disused quarry. Stop. Trees grow around the scree. Many puddles and boulders. Stop. Old straw waits for his inevitable arrest. Stop. Close-ups on fly dance around carcass. Stop. Try to really capture that smell. Stop. Episode. Stop. The 5 inexplicably reunited await the arrival of Plankton's son. Stop. Hi, he says as he emerges from the taxi. Bet you're glad I'm here now, huh? Stop. There is much dancing. Stop. Sea lettuce surprisingly live. Stop. Finale. Stop. Pink thing spends days in existential fug, drifting aimlessly. Stop. It doesn't know what it is. Stop. The others are powerless to help and slowly depart. Stop. Gradual fade to black. Stop. Maybe 10 minutes. Stop. Thank you.
That was great, Luke. Thank you. Yeah, I think there's nothing more surreal than a TV show disguised as a telegram, or maybe a telegram disguised as a TV show. That was great. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have one of the Mercurius editors, Vik Shirley, and here is our erasure bio for Vik. Vik Shirley is a door for a deer. Her broken corpses co-edit closure. Take it away, Vik.
I swear your erasure bios are getting better each time. Fifth one there. That was a good one, Ben. Thank you. Thank you, Ben, for putting this online reading together. Thank you, Thomas, for making this gorgeous book happen. To Zebedee Helm, who did the artwork, Thomas' brother, which is just amazing. And thank you, thank you, Thomas, for starting Mercurius, and thank you, Marcus, for inviting me to be editor and for conceiving the whole Surreal-Absurd thing with Thomas. And thank you, contributors, for being amazing. And thank you, contributors who have influenced my work. And thank you, contributors who have pushed my work. Thank you. Okay, a poem. So I'm going to read this, just one poem from my first collection, The Continued Closure of the Blue. The Sundial. A dog urinated on the base of the sundial. This would not have been permitted when Lord Hartley Westenhall had the estate, the sundial thought. The dog would have been blindfolded, interrogated, shot, and thrown in the river. 2. Soon it would be night time, and expectations for the sundial to produce its delicate portions of shadow would vanish, although these days demand was minimal. 3. I am immortal, the sundial thought. I am immortal too, the house replied, for the house had learned to read the sundial's mind. 4. The sundial's Roman numerals began to itch. It was the gold leaf too rich for its sensitive being. A blackbird pecked at the gold as if to remove it, as if it too had been a sundial in a previous life and knew what the sundial was feeling. 5. The sundial imagined flying away with the bird to its nest, spending summer evenings listening to stories of its past lives as the bird lay under hypnosis in a state of progression. 6. The grass was a chorus. The longer it grew, the louder it sang. 7. The sundial did not wish to compete with the maze for most interesting feature of the stately home in its grounds, for the maze had a fountain and a statue in its centre, and the sundial knew that it could not win. 8. 2 visitors circled the sundial, engaging it in the slightest advances. 9. The woods are too judgmental, the sundial thought to itself. The house butted in. You are too defensive, my friend. A critical eye is to be welcome, not feared. How else are we to improve our way of being? 10. The sundial sank into a deep meditation so that there was nothing left in its mind in which the house could comment. 11. A visitor walked up to the sundial and placed her hand on the gnomon as if it were a handle. She pulled it out of the dial as if drawing a knife from a chest. 12. The sundial stared at the moon until the moon blushed and all the moonlight was rose-tinted. Never receiving due recognition for this, the sundial became bitter and no one was permitted to mention the moon in the sundial's company. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vik. That was great. Yeah, I think that was maybe the first numbered piece for today, which is great to hear. And moon mentioned yet again. All right, we are halfway through our reading, and next up is Evan Williams, who is currently the reigning champion for most erasure bios that I've done. I think this is number 5. So here is number 5 of the erasure bios for Evan Williams. Evan Williams is in a Chicago state. Their solid garden can be read in Denver. Take it away, Evan.
Thank you, Ben. It's an honor to have so many of those. I love them deeply. I made Ben send all of the ones he'd done for me to me recently, so I have them on my wall somewhere. I'm going to read one from the anthology and then two others. This one is called Silver. I dropped out of mechanics school because I couldn't remember what a carburetor did. All I could think about were pears, so many varieties. I told my partner, I confessed that inside of me is a small orchard growing pears. Inside, I am full of pears. My breath smells like silver. The orchard is working on a new pear, a silver pear. My partner and I have a fight. It is about mechanic school, but it is mostly about my body. If I had a mechanic body, maybe he would be happy. Mechanic men grow apples inside, and their breath smells like gold. He won't admit that he is an apple man. I sigh a silver sigh and lie on the bed. I name all the apples I can think to name. I am an apple man. I am an apple man. I am an apple orchard, gold breath breathing, mechanic bodied man. He says that I am lying. I jump to my feet and make noises in a stark crimson rage that sound like a whirring fan belt. Bosk, bosk. It is my favorite curse word. I shout it like the horn of a car. I go beneath the bed and pretend I am a mechanic at work. My partner joins me beneath the bed. He kisses me and siphons my silver breath, inhales and inflates like a balloon. His eyes are a moon glow as a stem grows between the tips of our tongues. Our bottom halves make a hole and round out. He stops. We are silver. Okay. This one is from an ongoing project. It's called Enter the Wide Green. Enter the wide green. Utopian topiaries linger up top, asleep, learning. A smudge breaks open the grass and pimples outward the way an animal eats another animal. To my right, a small patch of lake. To my left, an expression of grease. No, there is no softening. Felons mooch lemons and melons. Hangers keep open suits for the hanged. All love between us has passed between efficient cellulite. The image ends on a hummingbird subject to sound and satellites. And then this is my last one. This is called Death Sentence. Inside of a hat store, there is a cowboy hat. And inside of the cowboy hat are sleeping a cow and a boy who have never heard of hats or hat stores. And inside of their heads is a single shared dream in which they consider the insides of things. And in the insides of those things, the cow and the boy meet their desperate belief in the infinitude of the interior, saying the word infinitude to one another while they sleep. And of course, it would please the cow and the boy to learn that they themselves are conducting their interior studies within another object, that object being the cowboy hat, which is, as of now, resting atop a hat rack in a store that, if one were to exit, would empty onto nothing at all, the hat store being the end of all exteriors. And they might note that realities do not become infinitely large, despite growing infinitely small, which is a fact depressing enough to induce one to don a hat, for it is comforting to envelop even a small part of oneself in an exterior smaller than the outermost exterior. And so it happens eventually that a man standing in a hat store takes up a cowboy hat from a hat rack and places it now upon his head, crushing the cow, the boy, and all things small or dreamed of. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evan. Oh, that last one is so good. I think I've heard you read it a couple times in person, and I always laugh at the beginning and then it wrecks me at the end. Such a good one. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Nate Logan, and here is our erasure bio for Nate. Nate Logan is the golden horse. He lives in the wrong helicopter. Take it away, Nate.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everyone at Mercurius. I'm grateful to be part of the anthology and to be reading here with so many other great, wonderful poets. So thank you. I'm going to read 3 poems. There's that grin. Someone shampooed the neighborhood pets in the night. Caller number 9. 1. A dare is not necessary to listen to the ground. It's hard not to eavesdrop on a spit take. My stake is plunged elsewhere. A mutual acquaintance dedicates a drum fill to you. I wish I'd thought of that. 2. One translation of the canon. It's love, dummy. Forgive the losers. There are many songs about them. West Virginia. I whistle the hits off key past the graveyard, and your shift is almost over. Watch for falling rocks. Also, deer. Camouflaged hunters in the pizzeria. Richard Gere and Laura Linney once touched this blanket. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nate. Oh, those are so good. Be sure to get Nate's book, Wrong Horse. You can find it online or grab a copy. So good. All right. Next up, we have the reason that we are all here. Co-founder or founder, excuse me, of Mercurius, Thomas Helm. Here is our erasure bio for Thomas. Thomas Helm is several mountain pamphlets. His pushcart has been nominated for a donkey. Take it away, Thomas.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for this amazing evening, Ben, and for all the amazing poems we've heard so far. It's been lovely listening to it, having interacted with most people via email in the last few months. We've been putting the anthology together. So, I believe that the Surreal-Absurd has a great capacity for satire, for probing the weirdness and the madness of the social and economic systems in which we've entrapped ourselves. And laughter is a kind of release valve, a way for some of that internal angst and desperation to get out. So on that note, I'm going to read three prose poems. One is in the anthology, and the other two are in a manuscript, which is yet unpublished. The Digger. 5 men are digging a hole, but only 2 of them are human. Assembled quickly and cheaply in a nearby factory, the other 3 are made from grease and sugar cubes. They grin and talk just like other men, but are sweeter and less concerned with themselves. The trucks that deliver them take the older ones away free of charge. And with so many holes to dig, they're always in demand. And this next one is a moon themed poem, so I hope that works well for tonight's crowd. The Colonist. No one knows why Moon Colony A210 fell prey to the crying epidemic. Psychologists blame prolonged exposure to the sight of a homeworld drifting in the void. Communists cite long hours and poor working conditions in the mines, as day after day the miners pick through barren rock. The overseers initially dismissed the epidemic as a dangerous nuisance, but quickly began to warm to its benefits. At first, the tears were used to fertilize kitchen gardens. Later, they flowed into streams and rivulets, and finally a small lake, the Moon's first water park, complete with slides, jet ski circuits, and a fleet of pleasure crafts. See Colony brochure Fun Day Out for all the family. So profitable was a burgeoning tier economy that miners were given tier productivity targets, and participation in a weekly crying competition became mandatory. Winners received a free day pass to the water park and permission to look the governor in the eye, albeit for no longer than 5 seconds. Thanks to these incentives and various disciplinary measures for the dry-eyed, Moon Colony A210 has become a veritable oasis in a harsh land, a paradise of manicured lawns, immaculate flowerbeds, and well-attended garden parties. If not for the sound of constant wailing, Moon Colony A210 would be a delightful place to live. Now on to one more called The Sportsman. On the ground floor of a supermall, a group of children are playing football with a recently severed head. No one knows the name of the body it belonged to. Then again, no one has thought to ask. With each kick, the face gets bloodier and harder to identify. The children decide to call the head Alfred, after the Saxon king who defied the Vikings. They all agree, playing football with Alfred is an excellent way to pass the time. Kid A downloads an app to track goals and bring some order to their tournament. It's almost fizzy drink time when a policeman blows a whistle. "Oi," he shouts, "how many times have I told you? No ball sports in the food court." The children mumble apologies, and I agree to take Alfred elsewhere. Meanwhile, in another section of the supermall, a headless man is playing badminton with a pair of testicles. Despite the odds, the testicles are winning. But the headless man fails on every serve. He can't see anything. He groans again and again. If he doesn't win 3 games in a row, he won't meet his mortgage payment. His family depends on him. Voices rise from the shadow, his shadow perhaps. In the distance, as from a great height, as from the top of a waterfall, he hears children laughing. That's it from me. So thanks, everyone. Really lovely to see you here tonight.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Yeah, and really, Thomas is the one in charge of not only launching Mercurius, but really putting in a lot of the legwork for this anthology. And yeah, we wouldn't be here on this Zoom if it wasn't for him. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into assembling this, doorstopper of an anthology. So really appreciate you. And also continuing with the moon theme. I think you're the first one to mention a moon colony. So we're expanding the moon. All right, next up we have Mark Russell, and here is our erasure bio for Mark. Mark Russell is the river of spearmint magma. His pin drop won Manchester. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you. That's fantastic. What a lovely evening it is. Or it's actually nearly 6 a.m. here, but here we go. Since you all know that we're never more than 6 feet from a rat, and at a poetry reading we're never more than 2 feet from a teacher, I thought I'd give you 3 short pieces with some educational intrigue. The first is from the anthology. The teacher. On his way home from school, Mr. Evans usually called into Llewellyn's the baker, Mandeep's the greengrocer, and Pascoe's the butcher to pick up a little something for tea. He wasn't having it with the supermarkets. On this particular day, a special day which demanded dairy produce, he was leaving Dudley's the cheesemonger with a 1/4 pound of crumbly Lancashire, when he was sent reeling by a young boy running hell for leather away from the town square. Mr. Evans's groceries fell everywhere. The boy helped him up, scrambled to collect the shopping, and apologized profusely. "Rabinovitz," Mr. Evans said. "Yes, sir, sorry, sir," Rabinovitz said. "You're in an awful hurry, young man." Rabinovitz looked behind him and saw an angry mob running their way. "Yes, sir, sorry, sir." Mr. Evans took off his spectacles to polish the lenses. The mob reached them and grabbed the boy, slapping him about the face and striking him with sticks. Rabinovitz was nearly unconscious when they dragged him away. Mr. Evans put on his spectacles and looked about. He stopped one of the stragglers from the mob. "Did you see a young boy?" The straggler took one of Mr. Evans's Cox's orange pippins from its bag and began to eat it. "No young boys here, mate," he said, and ran off toward the Gallagate. "But I'll be damned," Mr. Evans said, and continued on his way home. Excuse me. A Revenger's Tragedy. It was coming to the end of term. Staff and students were tired and irascible. Philippe Silverstein summed it up well when he broke into the janitor's shed to borrow a hammer. "Look," he said, "I don't even need it." He held it limply, its neck and face toward us, demonstrating he was not much of a handyman, and then threw it at the photocopier. A few of us said that he was going too far. He asked Layla for a loan of her right high-heeled shoe. We weren't sure why it needed to be the right one, but she handed it over. Philippe took a nail from the drawer and bashed it into the wall with Layla's shoe. She sighed and took off her left shoe. "I have some marking to do," she said, and left, her soft steps entrancing us. Philippe opened the cupboard under the sink and produced his cheap reproduction of Jacques Louis David's The Death of Marat. "And this," he said, "this, it means nothing." A couple of us recalled Philippe's brief relationship with Simone Haldane, the ex-chemistry teacher, after the Christmas disco of 2009, but we said nothing. Philippe tried to hang the picture on the nail, but it kept slipping off. "Come on, Phil," the head teacher said. "Put the picture back." Philippe sat down and stared at the ceiling. You can try again tomorrow. Field trip. After counting more than 3,000 worms, cataloguing them into their different species, and washing our hands thoroughly, we were set fair for cool beer and barbecue. Chloe wanted to bathe in the lake, but Paris and Annalise persuaded her to take a shower in our makeshift camp. It was basic, but with zero chance of barracudas. We ate a lot of trout with lemons and finished all the beer before sunset. Eric played guitar, and the Maguire sisters sang old bluegrass standards. In the morning, we were disappointed to discover everybody had sunburn. We turned to Kwame for an explanation, because everybody knows he sleepwalks. I don't remember anything from my sleepwalking. I've told you that hundreds of times, he said. Lee Nar put the kettle on. Has anybody checked the worms? Nobody had, of course, so Manny and Steve went off to do it. Where's Chloe? Paris said. Chloe's sleeping bag was gone. There was no sign of her anywhere. Steve came back. The worms are fine, he said. Randy Maguire, the most assertive of the three Maguires, cleared the trellis table and laid out a map. Chloe's got a few hours on us. Let's take a grid each and spread out. Eric picked up his binoculars. Stuff this, he said. Remember the last time we all woke up with sunburn? I'm not going through that again. Who's with me? Everybody raised their hands except Randy and Kwame. I guess it's you and me, Kwame, Randy said. The two of them grabbed their bags and struck out for the interior. The sky turned grey. It became incredibly humid. Where's Manny? Paris said. Everybody looked at Steve. Steve tried to smile and backed away. Paris reached out to warn him, but he panicked, lost his balance, and fell into the bear trap. Shit, Eric said. These field trips don't get any easier, do they? Thank you.
That was great, Mark. Thank you so much. And thanks for getting up early to read and tuning in from the future, keeping it extra surreal with the Monday morning where you are, I imagine. All right, next up we have Judson Hamilton, and here is our erasure bio for Judson. Judson Hamilton is a make-believe feather. His sky is a wannabe Poland. Take it away, Judson.
Thanks so much, Ben. Appreciate that biography there. I'm gonna just read a couple of pieces, not from the anthology, but a couple of more recent pieces, if there's time. This first one's called Hot Oracle Summer. The last functioning hologram appears every Monday morning at 5 a.m., which really gives you something to think about for the week. She's over 10 meters tall and appears in front of the How How, a Chinese restaurant in Dayton, Ohio, and her weekly speeches are beamed to purpose-built jumbotrons in major metropolitan centers around the world. She speaks, as she often does, of loneliness. Being the only hologram left in the world, she first speaks of her own loneliness and how she misses the quiet hum of her sisters. Next, she speaks of the loneliness she now carries for us, having lifted it from our shoulders. She often talks about how in the previous century, when there had been 5G and viral trends and fresh memes served up daily, that despite being in constant contact with everything and everyone, we'd, in fact, been terribly lonely. She goes on to explain that, like ships set on opposite courses, people had stopped mating or wanting to have anything to do with one another at all. She frequently talks about how happy she is to have taken our loneliness from us, bundled it up and thrown it in a sack over her shoulder, an empty sack, but a heavy one nonetheless, and take it off and dispose of it where we wouldn't have to look at it anymore. She goes on to talk about the World Wide Web and how restrictive and bound a person could become and its inner spirals, and how the promise of proximity to others over large distances is nothing but a lie, one told to shunt us into ever increasingly narrowed worldviews, one told to sell us subscription levels and diet plans and harness our most intimate secrets. She says that our most intimate secrets are ours now, ours once again, and will never be sold to the highest bidder. She tells us that now that those who were responsible have been put to the knife, and that we are free of incessant distractions, And now that our serotonin levels have evened out, she says we can go about making regressive progress. Now that we're trending agrarian, we can see the sense in getting up at the sunrise of frolicking and fucking freely in a field. We can now see the inherent value in taking a step back and allowing nature's scythe to cull wherever and whomever it may. These changes have been difficult, she can understand. After all, she lost all of her kin in the flick of a switch. Tens of thousands of sisters snuffed out in one fell swoop, never to return. She understands loss, but our ultimate goal of attaining feudalism must be borne in mind at all times, she says, admonishing us in a motherly fashion, which only further serves to humanize her in a way that extends beyond her digital personage. After all, we think of her as our mother. We have faith in her. She always signs off with a smile, enigmatic smile, one that burrows its meaning into you, one that you feel under the breastbone. And when her weekly transmissions end, with her glitching for half a second before cutting out, there is hushed silence that falls over the crowd, followed by a heavy feeling like your stomach is filling up with rocks. And it's often that we are left with questions we dare not voice, but that rattle around in our heads. Is this her last transmission? Will she appear again, or has she vanished, gone to be with her sisters, somewhere in the firmament of the digital ether? Thanks.
Thank you, Judson. With very melancholic surrealism. A lot of lonely holograms being discussed in the chat. That was great. All right, we have 4 more readers for this ongoing marathon. I think hopefully everyone's feeling good and energized. We are closing out. We have 4 more. The next erasure bio is for Oz Hardwick. And here is Oz's erasure bio. Oz Hardwick is a dispossessed rabbit. His academic hedgehog was awarded a hat. Take it away, Oz.
Thank you. And I wish I could write bios as well as that. Yeah, I'm going to read 2 or possibly 3 things, depending on how quickly I read. The 2, if it's just 2, won't be from the anthology. This is called Witness Statement. As I recall, we were in a public building, probably an art gallery. Yes, we were lying in bed in an art gallery, myself and someone with whom I had never shared a bed before. I should stress that there was nothing sexual about this situation. I was, in fact, layered up in winter clothes, right down to my sturdy boots, while my companion was dressed like a Victorian widow from a primetime costume drama. Nothing untoward about any of this, I think you'll agree. And besides this being an art gallery, or was it a police station? We were far from alone, with coppers and convicts bustling about as if it was perfectly normal for us to be there. A dusty old man and a weeping widow draped on a bed like an engraving from a moral tract. And there was, I stress again, nothing immoral in the way our fingertips touched, and this being a police station, or was it a square sketched out in stumps of fallen walls? There were soldiers picking through the debris in search of lost voices. And the last thing I remember is the veiled face of someone I wanted to still be breathing. This next one, and I thought it'd be a bit risky and read something I've just written sort of a couple of hours ago. So apologies if I stumble over it because I've not read it back yet. This is called Routine. The magpies at the window tell me they're here in a purely administrative capacity, just taking up those dull jobs that the humans won't touch. Ticking the boxes, fielding the FAQs and collecting routine data about heights and habits. I tell them I'm 5'10" and that I have so many autistic quirks that we'd be here all day. They assure me that they have all day, all night if necessary, and before I ask them, they're in the living room, tapping laptops and setting up equipment that looks like it's from a 50s sci-fi movie. They attach wires with chilled pads to my wrists, my chest, my temple, and they adjust screens on which lines roll and flutter like the score for an alien opera. And just as this simile occurs to me, they join in a rousing chorus of magpie pain and passion. And as if by magic, I know the words, and in a further unlikely development, I find I have the voice of Luciano Pavarotti, and together we shake the walls. And I worry that the neighbours will call the police, but then I hear them singing too. But all too soon, it's over, and the magpies are thanking me for my cooperation and packing up their machines. They leave through the window through which they had come in. They leave echoes of an aria woven from beak and feathers. They leave a black and white card with a contact number for all the questions which are already forming. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oz. That was wonderful. And so great to hear something that was written earlier today. I love that kind of a vulnerability and trying out an early draft. Thank you. All right, next up we have Jeremy Over, and here is Jeremy's erasure bio. Jeremy Over is 4 coats and no cheese. His penguin lives in the middle of Tahiti. Take it away, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you for including me in this anthology, everybody who put it together. Thank you for that erasure. I'm a fan of erasure, so I'll show you a couple of erasures from my last book. I'll read it first. A flock of flying fancies spoke, as if one was broken, and often overshoes. I don't know if... Can't see much actually. It's a kind of a Victorian improving book for children that I erased. The next page is falling in with turf, a good deal of turf. But this is turfy, much turf. Are they not? Okay. And from the book, I love the cover of this anthology. A poem, I'll just read one poem. Red Sock in Yellow Box, which is the name of a work of art by a Fluxus artist, Robert Filiu, which consists of a red sock in a yellow box. So it's dedicated to him and G.K. Chesterton, who was a kind of a priest surrealist in some ways, who also gets quoted. 1. A red sock in a yellow box. One can easily understand a red sock in a yellow box. 2. So that a man sitting in a chair might suddenly understand that he was actually alive and be happy with a red sock in a yellow box. 3. One cannot put one's foot in the same river twice. One cannot even put the same foot in the same river twice. It's hard to explain why, but one cannot. One has tried. One can, however, fall in the same canal repeatedly. One canal, one can easily. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was great. And I love the continuation of the erasures too. So cool to see it with the graphics as well. All right, we have 2 more readers to close us out tonight. Next, we have Chris Gutkind. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Here is our erasure bio for Chris. Chris Gutkind is a stumbling stranger. His wretched gravity is a forthcoming prototype. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ben. I love these little bios. Thanks, Ben, for organizing this, and thank you for Thomas for starting Mercurius. Thank you both of you for your editing of selecting good people, and also Marcus and Vik for selecting good people. It's a really interesting project, and I just hope we can counter the horrifying absurdity of our times with a more useful absurdity. So I'll start with, I'll read 3 poems, 2 of which are in the anthology or in the magazine I've forgotten. This is called Computer, which is itself a detour of an earlier published poem of mine called Supermarket. I go into the computer, seem to leave myself outside. Inside me, the system plays soft .coms or deals they want me, and maybe just me, to feel. Around me are other people, vaguely or really there, shopping. Around me, other products we bought home. I step into the aisle of lives they call data. I look wavery, feeling dizzy, uneasy. So many, 1,000, maybe 5,000 varieties. I can't find the one I want. Too bad they don't have more. One more. Mine. I walk out. I seem to rejoin myself. People wander. Apps go by in the greater market called community. They have made it look real, so it's supposed to be like this. The next one is a very odious piece. It's one of 55 poems that are gridded atop Rilke's Sonnets to Orpheus. It will be out as a collection soon with Veer in the UK. This is one of the very few, very straightforward poems inside it. As a friend's selfies, breakfast, beach, or church sometimes seems like the best sport you've seen, or my favorite site is better than books I read. So Mum's page starts to feel more real than her. It keeps her best. I remember all I am with her. And later, when we're eating at a place she likes, she seems limited in a way. One age, one thought at a time, so separate from me and just herself. When she looks at me, it's disturbing, measured or appreciated in the flesh, where a day still grows and dies, or she looks away, lost, unrecordable. Mother, when will you go? We've already built your new life up. It sings. You'll get more visits, praise and lulls. Don't you go worrying, my dear. And lastly, one that isn't in the anthology, that was in a really cool blog that went for a long time called Great Works by Peter Philpott. Big shout out to this guy, real institution in British poetry, did a lot for poetry. It's called Thinking. They should build more trees here, I thought, after I finally saw some on this highway, a few trees. And I thought they should make more cows here, after I saw only a few of them too. And a lake, they should upload a nice one for people to swim in if they want. And clouds, they need to put some puffy ones in and let them wander, not too many. Then maybe they will do these things, I thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was great to hear. Yeah, and sorry for the absurd Zoom bombing. I guess it's on theme for today. But yeah, I appreciate you handling that smoothly. Really like those readings. All right, our final reader for tonight is also one of the co-editors of Mercurius. We have Marcus Silcock, and here is our final erasure bio of the evening. Marcus Silcock is a dust monk. His boiler dream teaches Barcelona beasts. Close us out, Marcus.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Ben, and thanks everyone for coming. It's been a great marathon, and thanks everyone for supporting the anthology. And well, I guess it's a little blurred, but great to have it out in the world. I'm going to read two new little short prose poems and then one from the anthology. And the first one is called The Judo King. We were in the hot spot. Father slipped out of the army. New life emerged in the new city. Skeleton trees, buttery sunsets. When Father found the new job at the flavor factory, we were filled with light, pleasant quivers. One pined to slide down the water slide, hot chocolate from the new machine for 20p. The Judo King was sent to spy. We fed him Brussels sprouts on Sunday. It sounded simple till it wasn't. The next one is called Woody Woodpecker. Father drowned in angel dust. Mother sold Amway. Then chocolate molds. Then cleaning. 12 kids for daycare. Free milk and cheese from the government and tin cans from the bishop. He slept in the green army cot. 2 brothers in the bunk bed, 2 sisters in the other bunk bed. There was a song that played on the ceiling. Turn around, bright eyes, his inner disco ball spinning. Round about midnight, along came Woody Woodpecker, a little shadow tree with a little shadow beak and a little shadow woodpecker, pecking and pecking. And then the final one is from the anthology. It's called Burning Giraffe, and it's after Salvador Dali's painting Burning Giraffe, 1937. Flowers devour a man. It floats and sinks, floats and sinks. A river of red runs through it. Close your eyes. Are you only dreaming? Houseflies and horseflies hang on joints of meat, teaching their young to fly. The windows sweat and sweat. Hard rain on the outside, warm air on the inside. When you ain't got no flowers, you got the blues. When you ain't got no flowers, you got the blues. When you ain't got no flowers, you got the blues. When you ain't got no flowers, you got the blues. A burning giraffe in the distance. Sprinkle it with dew and a miracle or two. Wrap it in a sigh, soak it in the sun. It sinks and floats, sinks and floats. It is eternal flame and sunshine through the rain. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Yeah, and I appreciate all your help with this Surreal-Absurd sampler and for also closing us out this evening. I will put the anthology here in the chat. And yeah, thank you all again so much for reading and tuning in to our Surreal-Absurd Reading Marathon. Please grab a copy of the anthology if you haven't already. Read some samplers on our website if you need a little taste. And please keep being strange and off-kilter and uniquely you. The world needs that now more than ever. I would like to close us out with one final erasure, a poem that is stripping away words from Thomas's intro essay in the anthology. Because if you practice erasure on an intro, it can become an outro, right? All right, here we go. Quietly, the monk in space scatters his time. He finds that a home is, at best, a rolling invitation. 4 hours unfolding as digital dots. Please, watch us print the puzzle. Watch us respond to the strange nooks in a church. The circus is the world, and its mission is to mix dream with a dizzying paint. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Thanks so much, Ben.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.